startups are all-consuming. If you start a startup, it will take over your life to a degree that you cannot imagine. And if it succeeds, it will take over your life for a long time, for several years at the very least, maybe a decade, maybe the rest of your working life. So there's a real opportunity cost here. It may seem to you that Larry Page has an enviable life, but there are parts of it that are definitely unenviable. The way the world looks to him is that he started running as fast as he could at age 25, and he has not stopped to catch his breath since. Every day, shit happens within the Google empire that only the emperor can deal with, and he, as the emperor, has to deal with it. If he goes on vacation for even a week, a whole backlog of shit accumulates, and he has to bear this uncomplainingly because, number one, as the company's daddy, he can never show fear or weakness, and number two, if you're a billionaire, you get zero, actually less than zero sympathy if you complain about having a difficult life. Which has this strange side effect that the difficulty of being a successful startup founder is concealed from almost everyone who's done it. People who win the 100 meters in the Olympics, like they walk up to them and they're going like, right? Like Larry Page is doing that too, but you never get to see it.
I was living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment, and I was sleeping on the floor. It was the rattiest, nastiest shithole you've ever seen in your life. I mean, and I literally didn't have a closet, didn't have a drawer. All my shit was in a pile on the floor. I had my one towel that I stole from Motel 6 that had a hole in it. That was mine. And so I was trying to grind it out and learn tech, which I really realized that I loved. And one day I called up my boss and I said, well, I've got this deal I'm going to close. Now it's $1,500 commission to me, which meant I can move out of the shithole. And so I said, now one of my responsibilities was to open up the retail store, make sure the door was open, the floors were clean and all that kind of stuff. I said, look, I've got this big deal. I want to close it. And he said, no, you need to be at the store. I'm like, I got someone to watch. He goes, no, you need to be at the store. So I made the executive decision that if I went and picked up a $15,000 check for this company, Your Business Software, he would see the light and all would be good. And I'd have my $1,500 commission. Fired my ass. And so he fired me. And so there I was, still in the shithole with my one Motel 6 towel and no bedrooms. And so it was then that we started Micro Solutions, and I had no money. And so I went to this company called Architectural Lighting, and I said, look, I got nothing, but I know you want this time and billing software. If you front me the $500, I'm gonna start this company, and I promise you that I'll make it work. And if I can't make it work, I'll walk your dog, I'll wash your car, I'll do whatever to make it up to you. Just trust me and give me the shot. They did. I took that $500, spent $250 on the software, got that to work really fast, and then asked for referrals and built this company that then went on to become one of the first companies that did local area network. This was the early 80s, and then went wide area networks, and as you said, we sold it to CompuServe. And along the way, I kept on reinvesting, and one day I went to the ATM and I had all zeros, which was not fun. But like you said, we ended up building it. We had $36 million revenue run rate and sold it to CompuServe, which is part of H&R Block.
There's 2 things that we look really, really hard for. I mean, there's kind of the surface level stuff you look for. So you look for huge market, you look for differentiating technology, and you look for incredible people. I think in practice, I think that we collectively, and we specifically, and then we collectively VCs, I think we spend a lot of time talking about markets and technology, and we have lots of opinions, and I'm not sure that those opinions are actually all that relevant all that often. I think probably the decision ultimately is and should be around people as like 90% of the decision. The 2 things we really zero in on people are, 2 things. They sound simple, they end up being very difficult. Courage and genius. Courage is the one we talk about a lot because it's the one that people can learn. Courage, which is to say not giving up in the face of adversity, just being absolutely determined to succeed, is something that you can like force yourself to do. It can be very painful. You can force yourself to do it. The genius part is a little bit hard to force yourself to do. Courage without genius might not get you where you need to go, but genius without courage almost certainly won't. And so we're looking for some kind of magic combination of genius and courage. There's one of my partners quotes Nietzsche a lot on these topics. He says it's will to power. It's people who simply will not stop. And by the way, right, there's always been this kind of thing in Silicon Valley of like, sort of this, I call it the failure fetish, right? Failure is good, right? Failure, you guys are probably all have been taught this, heard about this from a lot of people. Like, failure is a wonderful thing. Failure teaches you all this stuff, and it's great to fail a lot. Like, and we don't like buy any of that. We think that's all complete nonsense. We think failure sucks. We think failure is a terribly, terribly depressing thing to go through. We think success, on the other hand, is wonderful. You wouldn't think that this is something you have to actually say out loud, but we do find it to be clarifying when we point it out. And so we are strongly biased towards people who are so determined to succeed that they never give up, they never quit.
So the invention, the idea for arm tights is literally just, there's so much that comes from being a frustrated consumer. So I'm a woman, I'm looking at my closet, most of my favorite things are sleeveless, like a sleeveless shirt, a sleeveless dress, and I'm like, you know what, I want to wear that differently, and I also want to wear it year round. So I just want something that goes underneath on my arms, super simple, in lots of different colors. I don't want to always have to put a cardigan or a jacket or something over it come fall or winter or when you're transitioning into spring, or even inside of office buildings. I'm cold a lot, and I don't want the integrity of my shirt or my dress to be covered up. So that's how arm tights. It's a little crop top made on a hosiery tights machine, which had never been done before. And you put it on over your head, it stops just below your bra, and the reason for that is less bulk under your clothes. It's super breathable, easy to wear, and then it just literally, like with one $30 item, your whole closet exponentially grows with looks and how you want to layer it and wear it.
I love it.
But yeah, ideas
Clearly,
are,
clearly I love it.
I have my assistant, who's my right hand, Lisa. She's been my right hand for 16 years, can attest to this. But I have 99 pages. I don't know why it's 99, but she told me the other day it's 99 pages, single space typed of ideas. I need one more idea. So I think of ideas constantly on airplanes and car, talking to somebody, and I email it to myself, and then I just keep them and log them. And then also your willingness to get the job done, like kind of navigating and doing what it takes, and so. There's so much about my journey where I was like, I am not going to let the outcome or my success be contingent on other people. As much as I can control it, help it, navigate it, I'm going to. So yeah, in the beginning, especially still now, obviously I'm hustling. I'm like at this where I am now, and I'm running around the airport asking people to follow me on Instagram, I just feel like it's innate in me also to a degree. But in the beginning, like there's a few examples that come to mind. You mentioned that I called my friends and asked them to go buy Spanx, and I wrote everybody checks and sent them a check. Because I needed to drive momentum, and I had no money to advertise, so I'm like, this product's gonna sit on the shelf, so I needed to get people to go in and buy it. I also, when I went into the stores, I realized very quickly that my product was in the sleepiest part of the department store. It was back in the corner and nobody was going there. So then I immediately went to Target and I bought envelope dividers that you put on your home desk, and I ran around Neiman Marcus and put them at every register, and I put Spanx in them, and then I walked away. And Neiman's has like impeccable visual rules and regulations, and I did that because I had to get my product out of the department. And because I did that, women in shoes started buying Spanx, and women in contemporary, and those decisions made such a big difference. And by the time somebody figured out that nobody else had approved it, because everybody thought somebody else approved it, it was so successful that the head of Neiman's was like, whatever this girl's doing, let her keep doing it. I have so many stories like that of just, what do I need to do?
There's a friend of mine who's got a good saying, which is that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Okay, that's generally what happens. Because when you first start a company, there's lots of optimism and things are great. And then, so happiness at first is high. Then you encounter all sorts of issues. And happiness will steadily decline. And then you'll go through a whole world of hurt. And then eventually, if you succeed, and in most cases you will not succeed, and Tesla almost didn't succeed, came very close to failure. then if you succeed, then after a long time, you will finally get back to happiness. I think too is you got to make sure that whatever you're doing is a great product or service. It has to be really great. And I go back to what I was saying earlier, where if you're a new company, I mean, unless it's like some new industry or new market that, if it's an untapped market, then you have more ability to, the standard is lower for your product or service. But if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. So a lot of times, entrepreneur will come up with something which is only slightly better. And it can't just be slightly better. It's got to be a lot better. Number 3, I'd say, is constantly seek criticism. A well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. And you should seek that from everyone you can, but particularly your friends. Usually your friends know what's wrong, but they don't want to tell you because they don't want to hurt you.
So lift you up, sort of your.
Yeah. So they'll say, "Oh, I want to encourage my friend, so I'm not going to tell him what I think is wrong with his product."
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your friends are right, but very often they are right, and you at least want to listen very carefully to what they say.
Meet your e-commerce partner, Fulfillrite, the high-tech turnkey solution to store, package, and ship your products worldwide. With over 100 rave reviews and a 5-star rating on Trustpilot, Google, and Shopify, it's no wonder they're called the most trusted name in order fulfillment. Wondering what all the hype's about? Get a free custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description.
Yeah, it is amazing when you really think about, all right, what do I want to learn? A classic thing to learn is, will customers sign up for my product at all? If it was already built, if I already had it perfect, would they want to buy it from me? Well, easiest way to do that test is to put up a single one-page landing page where we describe what the product is, that we pretend we've already built it, and simply say, would you like to pre-order this product right now? In most cases, when I've done that test, I didn't even have to make page 2 where I apologize that the product doesn't exist because nobody even wants it. It's also possible to build a much less functional prototype than you would normally think about, an engineer building. The key is to try to simulate as much of the experience for customers as possible. So there's a very famous company called Dropbox that today is one of Silicon Valley's hottest companies. They had this very complicated technology for file sharing that they were trying to build, and the whole idea was it would give you this magical experience that just worked across all your computers, magic synchronization. And the way they built their MVP was not with an ounce of technology. They just made a video of this kind of prototype that they had built on their computer that made it look like it would work like magic. But the video showed you what the experience would be, and then they used the video to get people, again, to sign up to pre-order, to commit to be part of their community. And that was enough, without any technology, to show them they were on the right track.
And when you run that kind of pre-product experiment, how do you know what number of sign-ups contributes to success and below what number constitutes an opportunity, a need to rethink?
Yeah. There's no absolute number that matters. It matters, how do those numbers plug into your overall business model? So it's important to make a prediction about what it's supposed to be. If I'm selling a product that's extremely expensive, I might only need a handful of customers in order to build a profitable business, and so getting only a handful of customers to sign up would be a very important indication. I was just talking to an entrepreneur who had read my book and was kind of sharing their story with me, and they told me about they were building this clean tech product that was incredibly expensive and complicated, and they were really in trouble, business about to run out of money, CEO quit, it was really a dire situation. And all they had was a prototype that only could convert to energy 1/10 the volume that they were planning to build. And after reading the book and hearing about minimum viable product, he thought, what if we offered the prototype for sale? He said, all right, we're going to charge $2.7 million for this prototype. And they put it up for sale, and he instantly got 10 orders. So he went from company about to go bankrupt in the brink of disaster to a company with $27 million in bookings. Just from that one thing to say, hey, is it possible to sell this prototype? Well, that was a very big success.
A company is a group of people, and that really is all a company is. And so if you're going to have a group of people together, they must be happy people. And if they're going to be happy people, they've got to be led by somebody who is happy themselves, who loves people, who cares generally about people, and who looks for the best in people, who is somebody who doesn't criticize, but who praises and brings out the best in people. So we look for people who are great leaders of people because they genuinely care about people, and I think we're lucky at Virgin. That's the kind of people we've got. Now, if a company brings in somebody into a company that's not that kind of person, they can destroy a company very quickly. If you destroy the morale in a company, it's very, very difficult to get that morale back. And so we try generally to promote from within our companies, so we know people's strengths and weaknesses before we promote them. We do sometimes bring people in from outside, and we try very hard to make sure that they're the kinds of people that we'll get on with.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
So we launched in New York, or we didn't even launch. I mean, we launched anywhere that you could access the internet, basically, and there was Google Maps. But New York was the big city we launched in. The thing is that we were a travel product in New York, which meant, unlike other companies where the supply and demand, like Uber, the drivers and riders in New York. On Airbnb, the hosts were in New York, but the travelers came from all over the world. So people all over the world would hear about and discover homes in New York. They would travel to New York, and they'd also travel to San Francisco, and then they'd go back to their city, and they'd spread the idea. But the other thing is they would go from a guest to a host. And so the network naturally grew. But we also targeted events. So, we targeted the Democratic National Convention. We built DC through the inauguration in 2009. We focused on music festivals and concerts. So the World Cup, the Olympics, these are early, not the most recent one, but the one before. So events and PR were probably the main ways that we bootstrapped. And then we built this one-click post to Craigslist tool that Craigslist allows us to do until they shut it off like a couple years into it. But we allowed hosts to we built a tool where they could, with a single click of a button, click and distribute their post to Craigslist to get more distribution. And so the listings would get relisted onto Craigslist, and they would feed back. We started doing a little bit of Google advertising. But the main way it grew was through word of mouth and PR.
So the first point is that when you're doing a regulation crowdfunding campaign, when you're doing a WeFunder campaign and an equity crowdfunding campaign, the biggest difference between doing this and something like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, which is where it's more of like a pre-order campaign, we're actually selling product online. The biggest difference is that you are giving away equity, right? You're giving away equity in your company. You're technically selling securities online. Now, you might not be doing a price round necessarily, right? You might be doing a crowd safe or something like that, but you're technically kind of selling securities online, right? So when it comes to equity crowdfunding, when it comes to WeFunder, that's really the biggest difference between that and doing more of a Kickstarter Indiegogo campaign. It can be very confusing though, and there's a lot of overlap because you can have perks as well, or gifts, if you will, rewards that also are tied with a WeFunder campaign. So for example, you could be giving away equity in a service or a company, right? And also have that be a reward where, for example, let's just say you're doing like a new app where you can go and you can rent bikes or something like that, right? And you're building a company around that. You could also have as a reward that you get a monthly pass to be able to ride bikes wherever you want to in your city, or you can have a yearly pass and be giving that away if someone invested like $1,000, right? So when it comes to WeFunder, that is the biggest difference, is that you are actually giving away equity in your company. You actually have to be willing to do that as well. And that's all really based around what's your value. What the heck are you valuing this company at, man, right? So your valuation is going to determine to a lot of people whether or not it's actually a good investment from the get-go, right? So you have to be willing to actually value your company, right? And thinking about your industry, thinking about what you're doing, thinking about the technology, et cetera. You have to be willing to give away a portion of equity in your company. I know everyone, when I say giving away equity, the first thing that most entrepreneurs think about is like, oh no, I'm giving away control, right? Well, if you think about it, you're only giving away a certain portion of equity. So you can kind of discuss that. You can look more into that. That kind of goes beyond the scope of this video, but you do have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to bring in investment capital. And that's the big difference as well, is that investment capital, you can spend that how you like, right? You could spend that on marketing or advertising. You could spend it on HR salaries, whatever. When you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, you're really selling that product and you're having to spend a lot of those funds and actually delivering that product to the end group, right? So when it comes to this, you have to be willing to actually give away equity. You have to also be willing to value your company so that equity has some kind of worth. There's some way that investors can actually judge that. And the last thing that I would say when it comes to this is also not just viewing this as being like a win-lose. It's like, oh, I got to give away equity. I got to give away ownership. I don't want to do this, right? Really thinking as well about partnering with these people. Who is it that you're going to bring into the company? All these potential people who have many different networks, who can spread the word, who can become your evangelists, your brand ambassadors, all these different things. So you're not just giving away equity, right? You're also kind of building a community at the same time. However, when it comes to this, giving away equity, really thinking through that. Is that something, a path that you want to go to? Because once you begin that journey, you got to make a big project, right? You got to make a really big company. You got to be committed to having a good exit or a good liquidity event in the future so that all those investors can cash out at a certain point in time.